So Donald Trump was doing an interview on British TV in the wake of the Brussels terror attack, and he made some comments about the Muslim community. Oh boy, we know how the Donald likes to talk about Muslims usually. So here's what he said, quote, "When they see trouble, they have to report it. They are not reporting it. They are absolutely not reporting it. And that's a big problem. I don't know what it is. It's like they're protecting each other. But they're really doing very bad damage. They have to open up to society. They have to report the bad ones." Okay, so perhaps you'll be unsurprised to learn that what he's saying here and what he's accusing the Muslim community of here is actually not true. So just to give you two examples real quick, in 2013, there was an imam in Canada who helped foil a terrorist plot on a train by tipping off authorities. So he said, okay, there's this guy here who's getting a little kooky at our mosque. No bueno. Take him down. We're letting you know that we think something's going on. So they investigated. They were able to take him down, all because of the help of the Muslim community. Furthermore, in 2015, there were jihadists who attacked a bus in Kenya, and the Muslims who were on the bus gave the Christians who were on the bus their hijabs to save them. So that's another, really, really valiant thing that, I guess people don't talk about all that much. There's another example of, I think it was a mass shooter who was in a restaurant and a Muslim guy dove in front of the bullets of two women and he ended up dying. These are things that, stuff like this is kind of important, and it portrays the humanity of many people in the Muslim community. And this is stuff that Donald Trump, he doesn't care, he doesn't look for it. He just wants to say yeah, they're protecting each other. They gotta call out the bad ones. But understand the default assumption that's built in there. What he's saying is, unless, every terrorist plot is foiled because some Muslim steps up and says, hey, I saw this coming. What he's saying is, the default assumption is, I assume you're with them unless proven otherwise. So it's not like, of course they didn't know it was coming, or else they would have said something. The default is, well, obviously they're conniving and they all agree and they're waiting for this to happen. And if they don't come forward, well, then we know they agree. That's unbelievable, because think about, it does not work the other way. It just doesn't work the other way. If there's some sort of, sovereign citizens attack or Phineas movement attack, which is a Christian terrorist movement, they did a mass shooting in Texas within the past year or so. It's not like he goes to the rest of the Christians in the community and says, well, you guys need to speak up. We're the good ones speaking up. We're the good ones. And that gets to the next point, which is, how many times have we heard that, where people say, we're the moderate Muslims speaking out against ISIS and speaking out against terrorism? If you're asking that question, you simply haven't looked for the answer. So, again, some examples. A headline in 2015, Huffington Post, quote, "World's largest Islamic organization tells ISIS to get lost. A 50 million strong Sunni movement in Indonesia just launched a global anti-extremism campaign." So that group is called NU. You could look it up. You could read about them. And they're saying, no, we're going to combat the religious narrative of ISIS and of jihadists. All right, more. Raw story after Charlie Hebdo. 46 examples of Muslim outrage about parachuting that Fox News can't seem to find. They go on to list, quite literally, 46 different Muslim organizations that came out and denounced it and said, this does not represent us, and we hate this, and we're just as outraged, if not more outraged than you are, because we feel horrible. Okay, again, where are they? We're the ones speaking out. We're the moderate ones speaking out against the terrorists. And I'll give you one more here. After San Bernardino, Time Magazine, quote, "American Muslims are raising $1,000 an hour for San Bernardino victims." They ended up in total raising over $200,000 from the Muslim community to the San Bernardino victims. So it's just not true to say, where are they speaking out? I assume, my default assumption is they agree with terrorism unless proven otherwise. That is a horrible way of thinking, and it does show that your default assumption is they're all kind of guilty unless they somehow prove otherwise. But you should view them like any other community where if some white dude does a mass shooting, it's not like I agree with him until I come out and say I denounce him and I wish I saw it coming or whatever. It's not logical. And then in conclusion, let me just say, don't misconstrue any of what I'm saying here as if to mean like there isn't a problem with Muslim fundamentalism. Of course there is. I have eyes. I see data. I understand the increase in terror attacks. I understand that there's an ideological component to this, a religious component to this. And I understand that you could even say that in many circumstances is divorced from any idea of retribution or revenge or Western foreign policy or a backlash, okay? Some of it is tied into that, but some of it's not. Some of it's just purely religious. So I fully understand and accept that there is a problem with Muslim fundamentalism. There's no doubt about that. Nobody's denying that. But you have to acknowledge that guys like Trump, they do generalize about Muslims, they do demonize Muslims, they do otherize them, and they do have this sloppy mindset of like, guilty enough. Which is why idiots like him come out and say, oh, let's ban all Muslims from entering the U.S. Well, that shows you're a bigot. It proves you're a bigot. Why? So you're gonna condemn all Ahmadi Muslims, for example, Ahmadiyya Muslims, who have nothing to do with jihad. You're going to condemn all Sufi Muslims who are mystics, who care about spirituality, who want nothing to do with any kind of violence whatsoever. They're just as bad. Ban all Muslims from entering the U.S. So all Shia Muslims who are not doing jihad, who are not Salafi Muslims, ban all them too because, I don't know, I just think they're all kind of guilty. Well, look, understand, if you team up with somebody like this, you are a fucking bigot. And people should call you a bigot because that's what you are.